so much. Hi, I'm Rabbi Sue Silverberg, and I'm the Executive Director of the Lean G. Simon Hillel Center, the Jewish Student Center on campus, and I'm also the co-chair of Bloomington United. I really want to welcome all of you here on behalf of Bloomington United, and thank you so much for coming out this evening. When I was in high school, I heard Gerda Weissman Klein speak. She was one of the first Holocaust survivors that I heard speak. She'd written her story, the story of her life during the Holocaust, in a book called All But My Life. She described the horrors of the Holocaust, the inhumane cruelty that she suffered, the loss of her family at the hands of the Nazi, and all of this happened while the world looked on in silence. It was for me the beginning of a personal quest to learn more about the Holocaust and to try to understand how it could have happened. In college, I took a course on the Holocaust, and I remember going up to my professor after class and saying to him, how was it that the Holocaust happened? What was the rest of the world doing? How could they just stand by and watch while it happened? He just turned to me and he kind of dismissed me by saying, I can't answer that question while standing on one foot. He turned around and was done talking to me. That question of how the world could have allowed the Holocaust to happen has always nagged at me until the past couple of years, when unfortunately I've watched what's happening around us both here in America and across the world. We've slowly watched over the past 2 years as many minority groups are being demonized and hatred is being spouted. And then a year ago, I went to another visit at Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Israel. I've been there many times, but each time I go, our tour guide focuses on a different aspect of Yad Vashem. The guide I had last year concentrated on how the Holocaust happened and the climate that Hitler created that enabled him to perpetuate that cruel inhumanity. Much to my growing fear and terror, my guide explained in perfect detail the steps to Hitler's rise to power, what factors led to it, and how and why Hitler succeeded in his plan to exterminate the Jews, and in the process did exterminate 6 million Jews and 12 million people. As she explained, the lump in my throat grew bigger and bigger, and I felt myself grow colder and colder with fear, dread, and horror. She explained how Hitler had created a new normal while demonizing and dehumanizing the Jews. At first, when Hitler ran for office, he wasn't very popular. People didn't believe that he could even be elected. He was viewed as someone with crazy ideas. But what happened is he managed to lower the bar of what was acceptable with his hateful language that he spewed, his captivating ideas, and his propensity for violence. He had a plan to make Germany great again. And as he rose to power, he was able to gain enough popularity to get into office, and soon he became a demagogue. As he spewed his hatred against the Jews and other minority groups such as homosexuals, gypsies, and people with disabilities, and spoke of his anti-Semitic plans, people said that he couldn't really do anything, and the party leadership thought that they could keep him under control. But soon, he lowered the threshold of what was acceptable, and people became used to his hateful language and his hateful ideas. And after all, they said, they were only words. But what he succeeded in doing was creating a new normal in Germany. On Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glass, Jewish businesses and synagogues were destroyed in the first act of state-sponsored violence against the Jewish community. While some people raised their eyebrows, thought that it was wrong, the majority of people kept silent. They didn't know what to do, and maybe many of them either tacitly or actually approved of Hitler's actions. Again, a new normal of what was acceptable was created. Next came the Nuremberg laws that barred Jews from attending public schools, going to theaters, and even residing in or walking in certain sections of German cities. Jewish businesses were seized as Jews were increasingly barred from economic life. The Nazi propaganda machine continued to dehumanize and blame the Jews for everything that was happening. While some people were opposed to these hateful policies, they didn't know how to stop Hitler or the Nazi Party. And again, the threshold of what had previously been acceptable was lowered, and a new normal had been created. This continued until 6 million Jews and 12 million people were killed by Hitler during World War II. Over the past 2 years, we've been watching a similar phenomenon here in America.
No, we have not.
We have witnessed a new low in political discourse that has become the new normal. We are watching the demonization of immigrants and other minority groups. We've seen the rise in white supremacy. As a Jew, I feel marginalized and terrified by the rise in anti-Semitism. As we watch in disgust and horror, we feel hopeless, helpless, angry, and full of fear and dread. Many of us feel isolated and believe that we don't have the power to stop what is happening in our country. And unfortunately, we are now beginning to see a new normal here in America. And that is why we are here tonight. Look at how many of us came out to say no to hate and to white supremacy. And there have been gatherings similar to ours in other communities across the country. We have to know that we have the power to make change, but we have to work together. We must not accept hatred and white supremacy as our new normal here in America. We have to all band together. We can't fight each other. We cannot distance ourselves from one another. I'm reminded of Anne Frank's words from her diary that she wrote during the Holocaust, where she said, "It's really a wonder that I haven't dropped all of my ideals because they seem so absurd and impossible to carry out. Yet I keep them because in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. I simply can't build up my hopes on a foundation consisting of confusion, misery, and death. I see the world gradually being turned into a wilderness. I hear the ever-approaching thunder that will destroy us too. I can feel the sufferings of millions, and yet I look up into the heavens. I think that it will all come right, that this cruelty too will end, and that peace and tranquility will return again. In the meantime, I must uphold my ideals, for perhaps the time will come when I shall be able to carry them out. Like Anne, I too believe that the majority of people are good at heart. And I too believe that we have to uphold our ideals. And I believe that cruelty and hate not only can, but must come to an end. However, we cannot and must not sit by idly and patiently. We cannot and must not just wait for tranquility to return. We must not accept a new normal that allows white supremacy and hatred to dominate. We must not accept a new normal where we feel isolated, alone, and powerless. We must never accept a new normal where we believe that we are helpless to make the world a better place. Instead, we must create the world that we believe in and that we want to see. We must, as it says in our Bloomington United mission, affirm the value of all human beings, bridge the differences between people, and resist strongly and respond nonviolently to hate activity in our community. And that is why we are here tonight. Our presence tonight declares that we have the power to stand together, arm in arm, and create a new normal that recognizes the beauty of our diversity based on the importance of inclusivity and working together as a strong, vibrant community. We stand united, and we are stronger than hate.